Department of Defense, brother. Voila.
I think I would be ex-military then.
I agree. You should qualify. I think it's all a joke, to be honest with you. I think that people just try to play favoritism. That's all. I don't know. One person's opinion. La 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 la. We're back.
Yep.
What's up, everybody? Back and talking about buying houses in the summer and advantages and disadvantages. Now, Christian, you made me lose my spot on my email, but I sent it to you.
It's just
so
a
I
simple
got it.
forward, you know?
I got it. I did it. Anyway, so summer is both the best and the worst time to buy a home. There's a lot of things going on in the market. What is your favorite part of selling houses in the summer?
I don't know. I think it's like you really get to utilize and look at like all of the property and not be, I don't want to say miserable, but like if it's cold as all get out, right? Like below freezing, you're not gonna be able to see the whole yard. Or if it's like, I don't say see the whole yard, but like if there's snow on the ground, right? Like how much of the exterior of the property can you see? But like summer, I feel like no matter how hot it is, you're gonna see the entire home. Like you're really gonna experience this property
In the summer?
Yeah.
I think the challenge, it's maybe easier to understand. The challenge is showing property in the winter becomes challenging when you don't know, you don't know what time the sun is going to go down. What's the ability for you to, walk through the property, and you can't utilize like air conditioning in the winter. You can't utilize additional mechanical services in the winter because of their limitations. You can't test the pool. You can't really check out the, exterior.
Yeah, the pool's a big one too because you're just not going to be able to even inspect it. Like, you can't inspect a pool in the middle of the winter. So, like, at what point you as a buyer are you okay with that risk, right? So, looking at the summer, I really think you can look at and test all the things of the home, like get the most in-depth feel for it, which is nice.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do when buying houses in the summer is like stretch it into a later hours of the day. So I feel in the winter, buyers are like squeezed for time. And it's like, can I see this property after a long day of work? Can I get there? How quickly can I get there? 5:15, 5:20. The sun's already like setting if you're in the dead of the winter. But in the summer, it's like, oh, hey, go to that baseball game, go to that soccer game, and we'll meet at 7:30, and the sun is still in the sky. And it really makes a big difference. But it also makes a difference for everybody else that's out in the market. And what I was saying earlier was that just because you're at the property at 5:30 or 7 o'clock or whatever time you're available to be there, and there's no one else present, it's not all of a sudden like less competitive. People are just able to come an hour later, an hour before you. People have more flexibility. You can go first thing in the morning, and
schedule's like wide open.
Yeah. So people have more private showing time as compared to like feeling pinched for that 45 minutes in the evening in the winter.
I mean, you make a good point. Like in the winter, our sun is down at 5 o'clock? Like you lose so much of the day, maybe 5:30 at the latest.
Yeah.
But you lose so much of the day. And I would say summer is arguably much more competitive. I mean, the hours are spread out as to where you can go to the property with daylight. But I'd say more buyers enter the market in that spring, summertime. But you also have to take into consideration the winter that we just had too. Telling people like, people are coming out of their hibernation. Like, let's rock and roll. Let's see this house. Let's sell our house, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like this, I don't say spring fever, but like the sun's out, houses are out.
So if summer's the busy season, does that mean that it's actually better for buyers, or does the more competition, like what's the balance there? I mean, because there's more inventory too, right?
Statistically speaking, I would say yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not one to say buy in the winter, buy in the summer. I think it comes down to your personal goals and your personal, we'll say life, like your living situation. If you have a lease that ends in the spring, well, the summer, we better get started in the spring. Or if you have something in the fall, we better get started in the summer or even the spring, right? So like to say that there's one that's better than the other, I think statistically speaking, we have more listings and more buyers during these warmer times of the month, of the year. But also take into consideration, like this is also when kids get out of school for an extended period of time. Like people are going to try and make that transition between those school years for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it is competitive in the spring and summer. There's also times where it's competitive in the winter. Like you can still get into a bidding war in the winter.
Right.
Something that doesn't exist.
So if there's more activity, more people that are looking to move in between the school year, are sellers more comfortable kind of like resting on their laurels and not really negotiating because there's so much buyer activity
In the summer?
Yeah.
It's so hyper specific with Maryland because Baltimore City is treated differently than Southern Maryland, or if you have the hottest property on the block and 8 other offers, right? So at that point, I would start to like dive deeper into the value proposition that you're bringing to the market as a seller.
Okay.
Like that might dictate how much negotiating power you actually might have
As a seller.
Yeah.
And as a seller, if you were to say get multiple showings and you get that offer in the first week, is that like prime time to jump and negotiate? I mean, is there a rule of thumb?
I always look at the power of like now and like in the present. Like say you get an offer, well, like this, all this stuff on this document here that we just received, you can confirm like this is real. Like this is happening as we talk, right?
Yeah.
I have this offer in my hand. We can review it. If I don't negotiate with that, can that buyer jump ship when we get another, like in a week from now or 3 days from now, and then that opportunity is gone?
Yeah.
So like even if you get an offer, God forbid, that you don't like, negotiate with them. See what you can do because there is the power in the now. And like, let's ask this question, like how upset would you be as a seller if you didn't entertain that offer or didn't negotiate? They went off in a different direction and then you're price dropping, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's, power in the now or the present of that offer that you have. Like, let's not waste the opportunity. Let's see what we can do. At the end of the day, if you can't reach your goals as a seller, then that's not the right offer for you. So it's like, let's try.
Yeah. Now, if you're a buyer in the same situation, right? There's a lot of activity. You saw someone coming into the property as you were leaving, or maybe you just know there's sort of like a sense of urgency. You're the offer. You're going to put the first offer in the seller's hands. How do you coach the buyer to make an offer that's competitive without just throwing money at the problem?
It's tough because real estate is so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
How do I coach the buyer? It certainly starts with like what to expect. Like, a so-and-so buyer, I expect this property to get a lot of activity. I already see that they posted a due date for the offers, right? Understanding that this
What if they haven't though? Like what if they don't have any other offers? Scenario,
like at all.
It's busy, it's a good house, they're going to sell quickly, but the listing agent told you there's no other offers in hand.
I mean, that could be the case, but like I would also have open line communication with my client that like, okay, we submit this offer 24 hours later. I'm touching base with the listing agent to see if anything's changed.
Okay.
Especially if I know my market and I know that there's going to be multiple offers on this. Like that's already going to be a system that we have in place to make sure like we're on top of everything, right?
Okay.
To coach someone and get them to write the most compelling and competitive offer that's going to be accepted, not necessarily without throwing a whole bunch of money at it. It can be a process.
Okay.
Again, I think it comes back to them. Real estate is very emotional, but people have their level of comfortability. Should you, as a buyer, waive a home inspection, or should we do a walk and talk inspection to make your offer more competitive?
What happens when a buyer tells you, "Yeah, I want to waive the inspection"? Like, where does your line? Where do you get involved and say, "Hey, look, I'm worried about that," or "I want to make sure you understand the risk"?
I think I have that conversation regularly. Like if someone wants to waive the inspection, hey, I want to make sure you understand, but also like all the risks that's involved with that. But then also be able to supplement it with another idea that's like, hey, sure, let's waive our inspection, but let's schedule a second showing. If we can sneak one in tomorrow morning, I'll bring my inspector out and he can walk the property with us.
Okay.
Right. So like there are things to mitigate some of that riskiness. That is just one way. But we certainly have that conversation up front a lot of the time. Like, if I already know it's going to be one of those competitive ones, typically that conversation of the walk and talk and, hey, maybe we look to waive our inspection is already a conversation that's been had.
So in your strategy, like you've already talked to the listing agent, the situation, it's going to be aggressive. It's going to be, what are what are 3 things that you would say? Like, hey, you mentioned
The walk
and
and
talk
talk.
inspection with the home inspector. What else would you do?
It could be, we're going to have to touch on the subject of money here.
Okay.
An appraisal gap coverage. An appraisal gap coverage is saying, hey, let's say the appraisal is short by X amount of dollars. The buyer will cover blank amount of dollars that it is short, right? So it kind of guarantees the seller somewhat of a specific net that you would be offering in terms of your price and closing and everything else, right? It's it gives the seller more confidence, but also makes your offer stand out. That's another one. You said a third one. You could go to the extreme of like paying the seller's transfer and recordation taxes. You could, let's say the seller needs a rent back, offer them a free rent back for how long they need, because your monthly payment more than likely isn't due to 2 months after you move in.
Yeah.
As a buyer. So I don't know. It's tough to say like there's a one size fits all, but we talked about the inspection, the walk and talk. We talked about appraisal gap. And then the other 2 options, does anything else come to mind? Like,
well, something that came to mind, even as you were saying it in the blog, you guys will read that it talks a little bit more about just getting more than pre-approved, right? Getting pre-approved, having yourself situated with your mortgage lending team, your real estate team, but then also getting the inside from the seller. And we're not talking about like getting the inside scoop like you're going to have a leg up on the competition, but rather what is the seller's goals? Is their goal to net the most money, or is their goal to make the easiest and most simple transition possible? Right. Once we understand the seller's goals and objectives, we can really start to talk to things like waiving inspection versus waiving appraisal, right? If we're going to waive inspection, well, yeah, we're going to make it a super seamless, straightforward transaction. If we waive appraisal, we're going to talk about the highest price point, but maybe the seller doesn't care about making home inspections repairs. Maybe they believe in it, but if you don't give them that appraisal waiver and someone else does, like we're not speaking the same language. I think ultimately when it comes to that strategy conversation, so often it is exactly like you said. It's inspection, appraisal, and what was the third one?
It was an extreme of paying the seller's transfer.
Oh, paying costs and expenses. Yeah. But I think in the end of the day, if we understand what the seller's in it for, then it becomes really, really easy. It's really focusing on net, which is kind of the inverse, right?
Yeah.
Paying the seller's costs, number one, covering the appraisal, number 2, or depending on how you look at that, maybe they're flip-flopped. Right. And then, waiving the inspection is number 3 instead of number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like your idea of like having a plan, because I think that makes everything much more clear from a buyer's end, and even presenting your offer to the seller, right? Like going into the house, you already have an idea of like, okay, this is what we're typically going to write up. This is how it's going to work. This is what we're going to do. Rather than like, let's say we walk the property and then we jump on the phone, me and you, and say, okay, let's waive our inspection. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Right? Like being able to have I don't say expectation, but some sort of a plan and all the ideas talked about up front, so we can really have everything laid out.
Right. No, I totally agree. And one of the biggest things that we've seen, like you lay out these expectations, you give the buyer all the information. Now the buyer can do it without you, right? Like nothing personal. Our job is no different than a doctor. If the doctor gave a buyer a prescription or a client a prescription for medicine, they wouldn't need to go to the doctor, right? I can diagnose myself. I understand the prescription. I'm good to go. In this specific instance, in this specific window of time, 2026, you've got a good concept on how we're managing and, working through the transaction. You understand in your specific community, if average price point of homes is going up, 4% over asking price or 7% over asking price, you can understand the numbers and the metrics. But once we've been down this road for a couple months, we've lost out on a couple houses and we're just defeated. Like we're giving them everything that we can. We don't have the extra money for appraisal waiver or otherwise. How do you re-energize a buyer and hear their frustration without being dismissive, but also continue to push them in the direction that they want to go, making sure that, they're following through with their ultimate goal?
I think it comes back to setting the expectation up front. Like we need to have a realistic idea of the market, a realistic idea of what you can afford, a realistic idea of what home you want in relation to what you can afford. Mm-hmm. Right? So like, let's say we're pre-approved for, I don't know, 500,000, right? And we keep losing because we need closing cost help at the $500,000 price point. We can't roll that into the price. Well, maybe we should alter things and look at 450 or 475 so we can have some room to play with having that closing cost covered in the price, right?
Yeah.
So I find a lot of times it's buyers trying to squeeze into like this little hole that, like, in theory could be possible,
right?
But we're trying to find a needle in a haystack there. That's where if we change our entire game plan, this process is going to become much more easier. So that's my thought. Like, I'm always there for buyers. Like, I understand it can be challenging. I mean, we talk about my home search. I was looking for so long, and I probably missed out on 3 or 4 properties in the one neighborhood now that I live in. So I've been there. I think a lot of people have been there. But again, I think it comes back to the expectation even before we start writing offers, before we even start looking at homes. And then if we do get to that point where, hey, maybe we're just like not, I don't know, winning offers, we might have to talk about getting out of our comfort zone if we haven't already, and then using those things to mitigate the risk and kind of still give us the warm and fuzzy. Otherwise, if we're not willing to adapt or even open to, we're not open to new ideas, it's gonna be very challenging to get anything accepted or really to hit your goals, right? Like you're buying a house, you're already, I don't take this in a negative way. You're doing a vulnerable thing as a human being. Like you're taking a huge chance. You're purchasing a home, right? And it's very, very rewarding. It's arguably the best thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm not married. I don't have any kids. So if you are married and you have kids, maybe that's your best thing. But this is a huge accomplishment, and I don't know. You have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to take some of these risks, but like trust in the process, trust who you're working with, and understand that they're there to support you and your end goal.
One of the interesting things that I heard kind of like through all the conversation that you said set the expectation, but something that I don't know if you do this today, but it seems like something that would be beneficial to be able to say, hey, look, you're going to fail. Right? I tell people most commonly, your first offer does not get accepted.
Yeah, I forget the statistic of that, but like arguably your offer, I was going to say that your offer does not get accepted in the first go around.
And it's not anything personal. It's that if we told you to waive your inspection, pay 120% of the purchase price, offer an appraisal gap coverage, cover the seller's cost here, or, eliminate this cost there, you'd look at us like we've got 3 heads. Like, I'm not going to do that, or I can't do that. And so sometimes the way that I present it to clients, and I think I could do even a better job, to be honest with you, presenting it to clients and saying, hey, look, this is going to be the challenge. We're going to run into issues where someone is willing to take a step farther than we are, and you guys just aren't there yet. Once we get there and you're ready to go like head first into the shallow end of the pool, let me know. But until then, we're going to be educating you on your options. Yeah. And I think it's really important to set that expectation that this might not work the first time you set out to do it, but we're on a path. This path is going to be hard. It's going to be long and arduous, and we're going to get where we're headed.
I mean, the best story that I have as of this year is like Eric Tucker, and you went for one of his final offers.
Yeah.
Dude, the amount of offers that we went through in houses where it was like, we offered an escalation of like, we'll call it 40 grand over, maybe 50,000 at times. Waived our inspections, appraisal gap of 10 grand, like all of the things, cover our closing costs, you name it. I remember I told him we were at the property. It's like the only way we get beat is if it's a cash offer. And that's what came in. And how can you beat $800,000 cash offer, right? Like virtually, realistically impossible, right? I don't even say virtually, but, there are so many challenges, and to your point, like, hey, if we know that the first offer that we submit is not going to get accepted, why not just get it out of the way?
Right.
Well,
and I think that's one of the things. People get afraid that they're waiting for the perfect home, and then they're going to try and make an offer, and it's like, hey, we've talked about waiving inspection. Are you confident in making that step?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I don't know. It's almost like they have to get beat out once or twice to feel the comfort. Yeah. And not to say that every buyer needs to waive a home inspection. That's not my intention. But in different price points, in different markets, there will be realities. And if you are not preparing yourself as a buyer for these kind of situations and listening to your agent when they give you that recommendation, what are you doing?
And then going, like, I just realized I didn't finish Eric Tucker's story, but like that happened, I don't know, 2 or 3 times when he was submitting an offer. And it even happened, like there's a property he wanted to take a look at that was coming soon and then went off the market. Like it didn't even go active. He was like, what happened? I was like, I guess they just accepted an offer even with our showing in the calendar and everything. Right. So then we tried to submit offers on some coming soon ones that were, top of the line property.
Right.
And we didn't have any luck. And then again, just kind of have to go through some of those motions at times to learn like what's going on, what's the comfortability of everyone, like how can we compete in this? And he eventually, I don't want to say came around like a negative way, but he understood like, oh shit, okay, this is how I have to approach it if I want to get this property. I love them to death, and they're the most amazing people, and I'm excited for them because I think out of all the challenge that we faced, they found the best home to fit them. And that's
for sure. And he's got great plans for that house too. It's going to be unbelievable. But you mentioned like coming around. And it's not coming around to my way of thinking. Like it's not a me versus you thing.
I don't.
But it's coming around to the realization of what it's going to take. Imagine if you were 13 years old and someone said, hey, you could get married to this next person that you take out on that ice cream date. Like, do you think that there's a 13-year-old on the face of the planet that's like, yeah, let's go get married? No, but eventually you come around to the idea that like, no, this is the person. Right. And it might be 13 or 17 or 25 or 45. But eventually you come around to the idea. No one's like putting us in the way. It's not like you're coming around to our way of thinking. Right. No, right. But you're coming to a realization that this is what it takes. Mm-hmm. And if I could give anyone like one knowledge drop, one little like knock on the head, or that like, remember in what is the movie, Men in Black? It's like, and then they'll flash a light and all of a sudden, information, knowledge drop. So like, what would be the one knowledge drop that you would give to a buyer to alleviate the most stress in looking to buy between now and September?
Oh, that's such a heavy question.
I don't even need buttons. I'll just sing it to myself.
Yeah. To alleviate the most stress. I'm a very fundamental person.
Okay.
And I think is sit down with a professional and talk about your goals. I think that.
Come on. That's like cheating.
What do you mean?
You're not wrong.
But dude, like how many people just send an agent a property and expect things to go well?
To be honest with you, I don't really know how many people do. Because I don't know how many people are like, hey, this happened to me the other day, right? My client texts me and goes, hey, we might want to see this property. That was the text, verbatim. We might want to see this property. Did they really expect that we're going to go and tour the property, they're going to make an offer, and they're going to all of a sudden be under contract on a new home?
No, but that's the problem.
Keep going.
So like, how do you get from we want to see this property to, through the inspections, through these ups and downs of buying a house to the closing table, and you're moved in, you're happy with the process. It all starts with sitting down with an agent, coming up with a plan, and truly like diving deep into your goals. Otherwise, you won't. I would say you won't have the success, but. I don't know. I preach it to all my buyers when we're on the buyer consultation. Like, this is the most crucial thing in this entire process.
Right.
Like, we're going to take what you're looking for. We're going to take the process. We're going to take the expectation of what you can have of me and my team to the next level. And it's not just, hey, I kind of like this property, Christian. Can we go see it?
Right.
And I had a client send an email like that to me. It was either Thursday or Friday. And I called him this morning, and we set a buyer consultation. I kind of talked about what he was looking for on the phone just to get a brief idea, but we're going to take it to a much deeper level I think we're getting together like Wednesday or Thursday this week.
Yeah.
But like, again, as boring and fundamental as it sounds, I think it's the truth because there's so many people that I don't mean to throw shade at them because we all start somewhere, but like are very unexperienced.
Right.
Don't take the time to look at real estate in other ways, but also get creative and also put their client in the best position. I don't know. It's so like tough because there's so many avenues.
For me, I agree with you fundamentally, but I don't know how much stress elimination we're creating by sitting down and talking to a real estate agent. I think that when it comes to stress elimination, I think that maybe it would just be as simple as create an expectation that this isn't going to be the house that you fall in love with. This is going to be the house that you buy, and then you make it into your home. So whether it's got a new HVAC or a new water heater, like you're going to own the house for 5 or 10 years. So let's not stress over the condition. Let's not stress over the winning and losing. Let's not stress over the multiple offer negotiation situations. Let's allow ourselves to become comfortable being uncomfortable, being guided by someone like you. Hey, what I heard you say was, you want to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in this school district so your kid can stay in this neighborhood. Well, what we have with what we know today, right? Because school districts change, but what we have with what we know today, these are the properties. And based on the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and the fact that you guys have a dog, cat, giraffe, lion, whatever that might look like, it seems like having a fenced-in backyard would be a benefit. Yeah. Would you agree? And they say yes. And you go, okay, cool. Well, I found a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a backyard and a fenced-in thing and a this, that, and the other, and it's not on a main road, and it's got a 7-car garage, and it's got all the things. So, like, buy it. Yeah. Right? Like, trust in the leadership that we're guiding you through something, and stop trying to get so, I love the lampshade. Like, I don't care. Right? I love the colors. It doesn't need to be painted. Oh, the flooring is already done. Cool. Those are all superficial little things that can be done. Like, let's focus on the big things, because the last thing that happens is, I don't like the floor. And then all of a sudden it's stress.
Yeah. And
it's like, come on.
You make a great point, because I tell all my buyers, like, you can't pick up a house and put it on wheels. So, like, you walk into a property and it has the location, it has the parking that you want, it has a yard that you want. Why are we standing here harping over paint or floors or anything like that, when we can make it that home that we want, that has fresh paint, fresh floors, or whatever that might be, a renovated bathroom, right? But if it's in the location and it has arguably the amenities or features that you want, let's roll with it.
Right.
Like, you can make anything you want in this world and into your property. Yeah. Let's do it.
And let's make it work for what's important to you, right? Because it's not going to work on the first offer. We're not going to get every single offer accepted. We're not going to find the perfect property. So making the process as stress-free as possible is kind of like this laissez-faire, like, let's just make an offer. And if I win it, I win it. And if I don't, I don't. And I'll change that carpet, or I'll change that fence, or I'll do, like, we can do these things.
I kind of want to look up this now.
While Christian's looking this up. One of the things I love about the summer, as we had mentioned, is that it's the buyer's window of time is such a greater timeline. So it's longer days, warmer weather. We've got the opportunity to look inside, outside, up and down, and you can really start to feel the property that you're ultimately going to purchase. It gives you a much more comfortable experience, but like Christian said, it doesn't make it this is your time to buy. If your lease expires in October, maybe you want to buy in the fall, and there's great reasons to buy in the fall. We'll talk about that in 3 months.
Yeah. The thing that I was looking up, there's a quote that I guess Jeff Bezos has, and he says, stress primarily comes from not taking action over something that you have some control over.
Yeah.
How many people in their home search get stressed out because it doesn't have the floors and because it doesn't have the paint? But we both know that you have control over all of those things.
Well, and truthfully, for those of you that are listening, they're not getting stressed out because it doesn't have the floors and it doesn't have the paint. They're getting stressed out because the one that did, they lost. And that's what's stressing them out. But the one that's right there in front of them could be that perfect property. Let's go do it. Let's make it so much stress-free. Like, this one didn't work out. Let's go chase that one. We'll make it work.
Yeah. Check the same boxes doing the same thing.
Right.
So.
No, I totally agree. And there's so much going on this summer. If you guys don't already know, there's a lot of grant programs that kind of reload their funding in the summer. getting ready for the fall. So if you do have somebody that's looking to buy or needs a little bit of advice, Christian mentioned, let's sit down and let's take a buyer consultation with them where we can learn a little bit more about what they're looking for. If you have a family member or a friend, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at michael.frank_____. And you can reach out to Christian at Christian the Goosey Head.
No, Christian the Deadhead has not changed.
It's going to change. I'm committed to making that happen.
There's no shot.
But we also have our home buyer education series coming up here soon. So feel free to reach out to us, DM us directly for that. And we look forward to chatting with you guys real soon.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.